All right, today we're going to do an oil change on a 2011 Kia Soul. And this is the 4-banger, or the small engine. Liter engine. And we're going to change the oil. I like using Mobil 1 synthetic, full synthetic, not half, because I've had hundreds of thousands of miles of experience in lots of different vehicles that I have owned. I'm going to use 5W20. It says it right here on the cap, and that's usually the best way to find out the oil that they recommend putting in your car. If it's not on the cap, read your instruction manual or go to the actual website of the vehicle manufacturer that made your car. I'm also putting in a K&N oil filter, and this is HP 1004. I believe there's a couple of more years that will be pretty much the same as this, maybe a whole bunch of them, but this is a 2011. I think it might cover 2010, 11, 12. We have an oil pan, oil basin to catch the oil. We have a 17 millimeter wrench to get the oil plug off. Mine was really tight. I started to do it before I did the video, and I had to put that wrench on the nut and hammer it with my hammer to get it loose. So just keep in mind it might be tight. If you have a 17 millimeter and a breaker bar socket wrench like this actually extends. I'll show you. Okay, just pull it out, and that gives you a lot more leverage if you need it. You're probably not going to have too much of a problem to get the oil plug out. And let's go underneath and take a quick look. So I actually put my car up on a few pieces of wood. They're flat pieces of wood, and a couple of chocks to keep it from rolling, although it's a relatively flat surface. So let me show you the back. And I got some 2x4s behind the wheels in the back. And always be safe. Let's go underneath and see if we can get a clear view. Okay, so there's the oil pan. Here's the nut, 17 millimeter nut. And in all fairness, I got this loosened ahead of time. So what we're gonna do is unscrew that. I like using gloves, rubber gloves, and latex something. And then here is the oil filter. Most of the time, if you have a really good pair of rubber coated work gloves, by the way, I have them here, right here. You can get a good grip on the oil filter. If not, there's oil filter wrenches, band wrenches. A band wrench will fit around this, and it kind of like, it uses leverage. As you pull on it, it tightens. There's also filter wrenches that fit right underneath the bottom, and then you can actually put your socket wrench in it and use that. But I just like using a Kung Fu grip with these gloves. And as you can see, I got this pretty loose too. Okay, so we're not gonna take all this off until we get the pan underneath. All right, so let's get started. Cardboard package. It's great if you have the room to keep the cardboard afterwards. This way you can slide it underneath the car. If you do make a mess and drip anything, the cardboard catches it. And I try and be as clean and neat anyway. Try not to soil the cardboard because I like using it over and over again. So highly recommended sliding a piece of cardboard underneath the car, just to keep yourself from getting too dirty and also spilling oil on the ground. Paper towel, something nearby, just in case you want to wipe things. So we're going to start. I like starting unscrewing the filter first. So we got the pan down underneath, and we're going to start unscrewing this. We're going to spin it, and before it fully comes off, I like waiting for all the oil to drip out of the reservoir on the top, and whatever pressure has built up on the oil filter, and just let that leak for a couple of minutes, and I'll wipe it a little bit and continue taking it off, and then I can throw it right here upside down, let it drain this way when I handle it, and toss it later. It's not loaded with lots of oil, and as you see, it's coming down to a slow drip now. And Now, it is possible to do this oil change without putting the car on ramps. And, but I like the little extra room, plus I'm filming and it gives me a little extra room to film. All right, we're gonna spin this off. Wait, over soaking gloves. Okay. Make sure you keep an eye on it. Don't let it fall into the pan because it has oil in it. You're gonna create a nice big splash. Okay. So, pour out the remaining oil. And throw it upside down on that little space. And I like cleaning this up. Okay. Cleaning up all around it. This way, if you see a leak, you know it's not from leftover oil that was spilling out, and you may think that maybe you didn't put the oil filter on tight enough. So I always like cleaning up around where I drain the oil and the oil filter. This way, if I do see oil, it could be a leak. Now we're gonna spin that oil filter on, but first, we're gonna moisten the gasket on the filter, and we'll get to that in a second. And this has a little built-in socket grip on that, which is nice. But I'm probably gonna use the Kung Fu grip when it comes time to changing this. All right, so let's flip that around. Make sure it's secure. And what I usually do is I'll dip my finger in the new oil. Now I'll use a bald finger because I really don't want to put my contaminated glove in there. So I want some freshy. There we go. Get some freshy oil. Okay. Freshy dripsies. I'm gonna wipe it around. Okay. Normally I would be holding the filter with my other hand, but I'm holding the camera. I'm sure everyone's heard that excuse ad nauseum to many do-it-yourself videos. Okay. You don't have to get it sopping wet, just get it moist. Okay, so that's ready. And if you leave the cap off motor oil container, you could be almost absolutely sure you're gonna bang into this and spill it all over the place. Okay, so cap it. I'm gonna cap it off. Actually, it's capped, so I can leave it here on the battery. And we're gonna get the new filter and get that ready to rock on. Rock on. Okay. Still rolling? Yeah, all right. So, I'm gonna spinsies this on. And yeah, got a grip. That sweet cane in. Okay. Now you feel it getting firm. Make sure your hands are dry of oil. And we're gonna give it like maybe a quarter turn. You don't want to over tighten this. It's not needed, and you can smash the living daylights out of the gasket and perhaps cause it to leak if it's too tight, and also make it pretty miserable to get off. Okay, so that's really tight. If you're not sure, I would check this after a couple of 100 miles of driving, just to go underneath quickly and feel and make sure it's firm and not loose. This would be a great way to empty all your oil in the engine if that ever came loose. Not that it's ever happened to me in the last 40 years of changing oil. Not that I'm a mechanic, but I've done it many times as a do-it-yourselfer. All right, so we're gonna push the pan back. All right, give myself a little room. And now remember, when we open this, it's gonna shoot out like a spout. So I wouldn't put the pan with the edge right close to the drain plug, because some people think it's just gonna drip totally vertically, and that's not gonna happen, most probably not. So I'm pulling the pan out in front of the direction of the plug. Now when I take this plug out, it's gonna shoot out a bit, and then after a little bit, maybe a minute or so, maybe 30 seconds, it's gonna drip down. I'm gonna walk away and make myself a tea or something while it's draining. This way I make sure I get a decent amount out. And let's loosen this baby. Oh man, people like LJ used to be a singer. Oh my God, I don't know about that. I do write music though. I play a little bit better than I sing. All right, so make sure you got a good grip on this. And also, let's see where we're gonna put this. I'm gonna put it right next to the oil filter hole there. Oops. Okay, so let's get ready. Get out of the way quick when this comes out. And ready? Go! Here we go. All right, we've got some arc action going on. Putting the bolt in there. Go. It's coming out good. It's at least, oh man, I think I got about 6,000 miles on this oil. Now, a word about synthetic. I've been using synthetic oil for the last at least 25 years. I ran a messenger company, and I would mostly buy full-size cargo vans and always run full synthetic. So I usually go about 5,000. Now the synthetic will hold its viscosity pretty well, but the only problem is it will get dirty just like regular oil. And you don't want dirty oil continually circulating in your engine. That's the caveat. If the oil didn't get dirty, you'd probably be able to use synthetic oil for a long, long time, you know, maybe 20, 30,000 miles. But it does get dirty from the wear and tear, you know, in the engine. So this is dripping still. I'm gonna come back and wait until that's just about, you know, maybe it's drips instead of a stream. All right, we wipe the nut down. Let's get this started in there. I like getting the nut started, getting in the threads, and then swiping in with a rag or a napkin. Just wiping it up a bit dry. Alright, so let's finger tighten that out. Finger tighten it in rather. Okay. Tray to the side. Later. And let's get a 17mm on. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay. Nice. Okay. Oh, pretty firm. I would say if you had a torque wrench, I would look it up, but I kind of like go to about what you would feel 20 pounds of torque. But decently tight. Don't kick the wrench with your foot to get it that tight. Just pretty firm. And again, if you want to drive a few hundred miles and then peek underneath, just make sure this stuff is tight just to feel a little extra confident. You can do that. Oil drained out, and we have the new oil filter in. Let's put some new oil in. And it's good to make sure you have a really secure fitting funnel. If the bottom is too wide and it's barely fitting, you really don't want oil to spill all over the place. If you spill it, it can go down inside this cover and kind of puddle up in one of your spark plug holes. It won't get in, but you know, it'll flood around your coil and stuff. How do I know that? Because I did it. Ha! So make sure that's secure, and pull the dipstick out, and we're gonna wipe that baby ready to stick in there and continue to check as we fill. Let's see, I'm going to take a quick look at my notes to see what I recommend. I think it's 3.2. Let's check it. Okay, so the owner's manual, I'm pretty sure it states 3.4 quarts, almost 3.5 quarts. Don't overfill it. I would say maybe a touch. If you put like another quarter cup or so, I don't think that'll hurt anything, but you basically don't want to overfill it. Although I brought it to a place who overfilled it and I was too lazy to take it back. It looks like it was overfilled at least by half a quart or so. But the reason for that is it can cause foaming and a few other problems if you put too much oil in. But this baby has almost 160,000 miles on it and it's still going pretty strong. So, all right, this is a 5-gallon container. So what I'm gonna do is look at the marks here. And as you see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 5-quart mark. So we're gonna go backwards. 1, 2, 3.5. So probably down to about here. There's about 3.5 quarts. And I'm gonna put it up to here and check. You can use your own methods. I would just put in like 3.25 quarts, start it up, you know, let the oil get into the oil filter, and actually take it off the ramps, especially if you're on an incline. You want this to be as level as possible to get an accurate oil reading. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put about 3.2 quarts in this and then just back it up a little bit off the ramps, get it level. I'm gonna do the final checking because I don't have to go underneath the car anymore. Maybe I'll take a peek to make sure nothing's leaking, but that's about it. Yeah, yum, yum. Get some nice, good, clean synthetic in there. All right, good. Let's see how much we did. Okay. Probably better to get it to like the 3 mark and then check it. You don't want to overfill it because then you got to go underneath and take the drain plug out and let it all out. You don't want to do that. So let's check this baby. Start it up and check it. Take it off the ramps. I also like using these little Chinese takeout trays for like a standby tray for my funnel. Just to pop it in. I have one for clean oil and all the dirty oil goes there. All right. I recommend putting the cap back on before you start it. Okay. Make sure the filler level stick is in, and just gonna back it up off the ramps. All right, just revving it up a little bit, not super high. Don't rev it past 2 grams. Get the oil circulating. So I'm running it for about 30 seconds, and then, okay, put it in gear. This is a 5-speed, brake on. Off the ramps. Okay, underneath. Looking good. All right. It's good to check it while it's running too. Get some pressure on it, but it's looking good. I'm pretty confident. And we're gonna take out the dipstick. Check it. Looks like it's at, needs about a 1/2 quart, and that's what I figured. So we're gonna put another 1/2 in there. Okay, so remember I showed you before, counting down, 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna pour this until it's about halfway in between the lines, and that will leave 1.25 left out of this 5-gallon container. Sorry, I'm kind of treating you guys like a kindergarten class, but you know, it's I think it helps. I would be insulted if I was watching this. All right, so let's put in the other half. Okay, look at that. Just hit the full mark. Spin this around. Maybe get this in daylight so you can see better. Okay. So we are up to the full mark. Cool mundo. By the way, I just had some coffee, so I apologize for some of the shaking action. Tried to quit coffee, it didn't shake as much. Had more coffee, and I got the little shakes. Not Parkinson's. So, all right, looks like we are done with this oil change. Now I'm going to show you what I do with the old oil. Some steps. I'm going to keep this funnel, this tray. This is all the new clean oil stuff. I want to keep this separate from all the dirty oil stuff. I'm going to show you why. All right, this still has clean oil in it, brand new oil, so we're not going to use this to put the old oil back. But I'm going to show you what I did with my previous oil change. Get yourself a good oil filter, and I used this whole jug for the last oil change for the other car. And you know, this one has a slightly wider spout and it's more stable. I like putting the containers inside a cardboard box or on top of another piece of cardboard in case you spill it. You probably will. I do it a lot. And then you fill this up with your used motor oil. Just take your pan, pour it very slow. It's easy to, that pan I showed you before, it's easy to spill. It has a little spout thing, but if you pour too fast, it comes over the sides. So I fill this up, and then you know, I use the smaller 1-quart containers, fill those up, cap them, wipe them good. And your local auto parts store, I think they're supposed to take it by law. Most of them do. And just put the whole box in your car with the oil containers and drop it off. Don't let this stack up in your garage. I recommend staying as neat as possible. All right, so, and this funnel is reserved only for the dirty oil. And make sure you don't mix up the clean oil. This is hot with the dirty oil. And so that's what I do with it at the end. So there you go. Appreciate it if you hit the like button and this helped you out. I have a couple of other channels. I have LJ Laval. This one you're watching is LJ's How To, and I do a lot of mechanic stuff, furniture, carpentry, maybe some video editing. And then I have my other channel is LJ Laval, Health and Nutrition. This helped you. I appreciate it if you can at least click the like button or click subscribe. Thanks. I hope you have good luck with your maintenance on your cars. Any questions, post them below. I'll try and answer them. If not, hopefully someone else will be able to answer them too. I'm no super duper professional mechanic, but I've been working on cars as a do-it-yourselfer for about 30 years. So I'm not a know-it-all, but I am a know-it-some. And hopefully this has helped you do your maintenance on your car. Thanks a bunch.